Welcome, fellow Stardust. Are you ready for a scare? Today, I'll be interviewing writer-director Jose Prendes, whose latest film is Heretics from 2024, and will be joined by two of his actors and producer, Neeley Dayan, who plays Ava, Teryn Macallan, who plays Aaron, and Petrizzo, his producer. This will be a spoiler-free discussion, so if you are interested in checking this one out, you can find it on AppleTV, Fandango at Home, Google Play, and YouTube. And if you're new here, my name is DeRay, aka Rainbow Fright, lover of all things dark, creepy, and weird. And without any further ado, let's jump right in. You ready? Buckle up. Thank you all again for being with me here today. I'm just so excited to talk about your latest film, Jose.
It's an honor and a pleasure always to hang out with you, and I'm glad that you were down to help us spread the gospel of Heretics.
Hell yes, hell yeah! So, do you want to share with us a spoiler-free synopsis of the film, real quick?
Absolutely. Well, the film it's my first found footage movie. I never thought I'd make one, but the opportunity sort of presented itself, and I was really itching to make a movie, and I said, all right, let's try it. And it's basically, you've sort of heard the story 1,000 times, but we try to do some different things with it. A bunch of friends sort of celebrating, the last night of school, and just, they're all going to go their separate ways after this. They decide to do something stupid. They decide to go explore the infamous haunted house in their neighborhood, and things don't go smoothly for them. For the audience, it's great news. For the characters, not so much.
Exactly. I love this one. It just was reminiscent of so many other haunted house movies. We had a really good relationship amongst all the characters. You could just feel the camaraderie and, the bond between them all. And then they go into this creepy ass fucking house with this nasty shit going on and just creepy shit lurking in the corners. And it just came together really well. So how did you get involved with this one in particular?
The Asylum, which is the studio I make the most movies for, they were looking to make this found footage movie sort of towards the end of the year. It was close to Halloween. I technically don't like to work on October. I just take the month off, and it's just creepy stuff. But the concept was, there was an outline. There was no script, so the whole movie was improvised. These actors below and the rest weren't here. Incredible, all improv. There was an outline. It was about 20 pages. It sort of like pointed us in the right direction, but it didn't. It didn't really give a lot of parameters. So there was a lot of freedom there, which I liked. Then they told me it was 4 days. It's very little money, less than I've had in the past for Asylum stuff, and that it was going like in a week. Like, hey, this is happening now. Do you want it? I'm like, okay, fine, sure. I'm like, I'll do it. But the thing is, if we do found footage, we can't shoot it on a red. We can't, it can't be dollies and stuff like that, because it's just not going to look right. We have to be found footage. And I suggested, let me shoot it on my phone, and they said okay. So for me, that really not only freed us up with time. Yeah, 4 days is not a lot of time. But when you're shooting on the phone, you don't really have to worry about lights and setups and all that stuff. You just the fact that it looks like it's shot on a phone is the aesthetic we're going for. So it was perfect. So freedom with the script, freedom with the shooting, and then the chance to sort of just be left alone to make a gory, scary movie was kind of a dream come true, and I couldn't say no. The toughest part was I didn't meet my cast until the day of shooting, and I've never done that. I usually like to meet them beforehand. Yeah, and I don't recommend it, but I lucked out. I lucked out with this cast, but I like to meet them beforehand, get to know them, have them get to know me and my sense of humor, the way I like to direct and all that stuff, and so that when we hit the ground running, we're sort of already a team, instead of like, hey, all of a sudden, hey, let's make a movie in 2 hours. And that's difficult. But I was very lucky to have found this cast that really made it so much easier.
So I guess that means then the cast was already picked for you when you were getting ready to shoot? essentially?
Auditions had already gone out. Usually another thing I like to do is I like to prepare the sides so that because I know what I want to see in the actor, and usually I've written the movie so that I know, okay, I want them to do this scene, I want them to say that line. Here the auditions were all improv, so I basically had all the tapes. I got to pick the cast.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but in terms of like really having my hands in the pie, there was only so much I could do.
So my next question, I was curious about like the cast. Did y'all meet each other before the first day of shooting? Did y'all at least have coffee before that first day? Everybody all just met that first day. Okay. That's really awesome because y'all just really portrayed those characters so well. And I really did feel the friendship amongst y'all. And it feels like that y'all are probably friends, after this shoot too. So that's super cool. And yeah, shooting on an iPhone, that's just smart because people have been shooting on iPhones now for at least a decade and they, capture really good video. So why the hell not, especially for a found footage haunted house type movie? That's perfect and smart, Love that. Neeley and Teryn, so working on this film, had you ever worked on a found footage film before? And how was this experience different from like other non-found footage improv type films? Either one of y'all can go.
You can go ahead.
Okay, sure. For me, I've never worked on like an official found footage film, but as a kid, I used to do things sort of like this where me and my friends would go out and, make a haunted, scary movie with, I guess, our phones at the time, which weren't as high quality as they are these days. But it kind of reminded me of that as we were doing it. It was just like super fun and nostalgic for me.
Yeah. Very cool. Awesome. You got to do a little bit of what you did back in the day and bring that to something, professional. That's awesome. Very cool. How about you, Teryn?
Yeah, it was just such a strange experience because, being so interested in found footage and always really wanting to do it. So it feels like very much like a dream come true for me. But there was another project that I had done that was like very loose script, and there were certain scenes that were written, but you got to like improv. So to jump into this and to know that it was just do what you feel inside and go for it. It was really thrilling, really intimidating. I think I can speak for my whole cast when we were all just didn't know what we were going in for, especially when we showed up and we were like, okay, who's playing who? I remember we were like sitting on the floor in a circle, just getting to know each other. But when it finally came down to us doing scenes, it was really exciting because it almost felt like it was like this marriage between like film and theater because of course there was cuts and they would do scenes again. And for a while things were in order, but eventually things weren't in chronological order. But there was this aspect of like heightened play where you got to try something and you're like, oh, I feel this, I'm going to make this choice. And for Jose, our director, to just be like, that was good, let's move on, was really humbling, but also to have this collaborative aspect of like, we did this and he's like, okay, we need to tweak this, we need to end here. And it felt like such a unique, strange experience that I don't know if I'll ever have replicated on set because it was so fluid and collaborative. And I mean, that's what this industry is all about. So it was like, it felt special from minute one. It really did.
Awesome. Hell yeah. So Jose, I kind of poked around a little bit too at other interviews that you have done. Like you said today too, this was a lot of improv and you were just kind of given an outline, you weren't necessarily given a script. So when you were given that outline and you were going through what this film was going to be, like how did your vision change from that initial concept to what you created at the end? Like how did, if at all, your vision kind of evolve in making this?
Well, it's funny because vision is sort of an interesting word. Right now I'm writing a movie, and so not now, but today I was, and you see it in your head, and you're playing out the parts. And like, okay, yeah. That to me is you're envisioning it. It's coming to life. You see it a certain way, and the characters are talking a certain way. Here, to me, this was like the ultimate directing challenge. Here, to me, I didn't know what this movie was going to be. I didn't know. I thought I could have gotten a whole bunch of actors that sucked. They could have. Look, I'm not a fan of improv. I've never been, and I knew improv would be our biggest hurdle. Like if these people can't improv and at least have a conversation that I believe, then we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So right from the beginning, I told the cast, I go, look, you are the movie. And I always tell all my actors, you are the movie. No one's gonna know about us scrambling behind the scenes or a light broke or whatever. You guys are what everybody's gonna see. It's not my input. It's you are the movie. That's why the movie stars are the celebrities that people care about. Some people don't even know who wrote what or what directed what. It's all about the actors. And so to me, that's really the most important part. And if you cast well, you hope that translates. And luckily we did. They came in. I think everybody was like, how are we going to fucking do this? And I said, well, here's what we're going to do. At that point, to me at the beginning, there was no movie. There was no vision. There was no nothing. There was an idea of a thing. There wasn't. It was like we were literally writing it from scratch and shooting it at the same time. To me, it's one of those exciting things I've ever done. So
the tension, the pressure,
the pressure, and the thing is, it wasn't even. There's more pressure, I think, when I have to worry about them getting the lines right and getting angles and coverage. There was no. That was the only pressure here was, do I believe them when the camera's on? And that was the only time I would, hey, let's take it again. I think this needs to be worked on. I don't think your character's there yet. You got to make sure you say this. Let's not go on past this. I think you're repeating too much of the same thing. So there was stuff we would tweak, but they were the movie. They were making it up as we went along. And so I took them, when they first came in, I go, okay, look, I need you guys to become friends like super fucking fast because we have to believe that you're friends. We have to believe you guys have known each other for a long time. I took the girls aside and the girls had, their whole little backstory. I took the boys aside. The boys had their backstory. I took them away individually and talked to them about, well, how do you feel about the group? Who's your favorite character? Or who's your favorite person in the group? Who's your least favorite friend? And trying to figure out all this backstory, this life beyond the camera, so that when we were filming, that informed whatever they were doing. And they were just like sponges, like the most beautiful little sponges I've ever played with. And just, it was just, I was giggling like a schoolgirl, behind the camera, because I was like, man, this is really working. And I'm glad that people who have been able to see it now have been able to tell me that the first part when they're just hanging out feels natural and authentic, because that's what I wanted.
Because it's a big group of people. It's like 8 folks, 2, 3, 4 people, you can kind of do that if maybe 1 or 2 people aren't so great, but each of these actors, all of them, this huge ass group, they were all good and they all connected or, rubbed each other wrong the right way. Like you said, just super authentic. And that first third of the film was a great setup. Recently I talked about House of Wax, the remake House of Wax, which I love. I know some people have a lot of hate toward that movie, but they take a long time to get to all of the gory, scary shit. And it's with this whole long setup, and it just kind of made me think of that. It might feel too long, but it's all needed and it's all, appreciated, because it makes the, second and third part of the film just that much more intense and just saddening, not to give too much away, but it is a horror film and there will be bloodshed. There will be bloodshed.
Yeah, you have to care about the characters, and I think that's that's what makes, I think, horror movies so special. The ones that really stick are the ones that you care about, the people dying or not dying or killing. You care about them. Especially these two down here. These are my leads. They had a lot on their plate to handle.
Sure.
I would say they had the bulk of the lines, but the lines were basically made up as they went along. So, but they held the movie together, man. I love them.
So you spoke a little bit about your challenges and just making sure things weren't repeated too much and all the things that you said. So for you guys, Neeley and Teryn, what were some of the biggest challenges for you on set?
Well, we shot overnight, so, that's always a bit challenging, but I think in a lot of ways that also lends itself to the acting, because, it's a night-long extravaganza. So, I think there was some tiredness, but sometimes you get high off being tired, so that was okay. And, I like improv. I found it fun, so there wasn't too much difficulty, and I felt like we all kind of clicked really quickly, and I loved Jose's directing style, so I really didn't have too many issues.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, it was I remember that first night where everything or first or second night where it was just like way early in the morning and I kind of just felt like we all like we're on the same wavelength of like this is so strange and so cool and we were just like sleeping and or like chilling, I should say, in the green room waiting for our roles. But as for challenges, like my first thought was that I wanted to say having to go from like zero to 100 all of these takes and to do things again and again and again, that definitely took a toll, but I think we found a rhythm and I'm sure some of us have had more experience with horror than others. But then I was like, oh yeah, the hardest part for me personally was when we're running into this room with Neely and and I'm holding the camera and we have to hit our mark, we have to say certain things, we have to like escalate the scene, we have to leave at a certain point, I have to get the right around of like framing. And so I felt like there was like 7 things going on in my mind at the same time. There's another actor in our cast who in that scene had sort of a similar task that I did. And it, just like with every film that I'm in, I think I always look for what's that new thing I haven't done? What's that challenge? And it definitely felt like in that exact scene that I was being pushed in a way I'd never been before because, I've never been holding the camera while I was acting. And so that was unique and strange and different. And, sometimes there were bigger scenes and I wasn't holding the camera and I got to really nail in on my performance and to put all of my energy to that. But to have a moment where I felt like I was being split in different ways. And then of course, also wanting to get to this emotional peak was new territory, but really thrilling. I think us actors, we're always looking for something that's going to put us out of our comfort zone. So, all of the wheelhouse of us screaming and running around is, I think, where the work came in. Outside of that, it was just a total joy because you're just like, this is the coolest thing ever. We're just running around. We don't have to worry about, where we're crossing. We can make more choices. Like we can go here or go there. And it's hard to even think about because it was such a blur, but it was really mostly fun. It really was.
Yeah. I feel like as we got going, we sort of discovered who in the group was kind of like a natural born filmmaker. Like some people ended up filming more than others. For example, Teryn and Anna were both really good at filming. I myself, I kind of forgot sometimes that I was filming. So you won't see many takes of mine in the movie. Some people have their strengths and weaknesses. But that was something interesting that happened over time too.
Exactly. There'd be a take where I'm like, I did so good. And I'll look at the footage and I'm like, oh, I was looking down. I was like, hopefully Jose doesn't come to look at my phone. And I did it once. I was like, I can't ever do that again or else I'm going to lose the camera. I'm having fun. I'm like walking into the shot, into the scene. I'm like, this is so cool.
And justifying that too. Yeah. Justifying like, why am I filming in this time? Like, how can I justify that I'm doing that even when all of this is happening? So that was interesting.
The hardest thing for us was hiding our sound guy because we didn't use on the sound from the phone.
Sure.
We actually they were mic'd and everything. So the hardest part was hiding Eric, our sound guy, in the scene. But of course, the actors are erratically going like this. So like, where the hell are we going to put the sound guy? So that was the hardest part of that kind of erraticism. But I really liked the organic nature of it because it felt real. And I think it's like, we're all, people watch, Rainbow Fright, you and I are on YouTube. We know the YouTube world. People are vlogging all the time. This is not a weird thing anymore. Back when Blair Witch came out, that was, that's a novel kind of concept. People vlog going to the grocery store, fucking buying milk. People say, let's go check out the new holiday offerings at Target. I mean, I watch those and I've done a few, but whatever. People do that all the time. It's not weird. So for a bunch of friends who get drunk and film each other drunk, that feels like that's what they would do, and then go to a haunted house.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they would fucking film that.
Of course you're still recording. Hell yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the decision-making process behind the film's location and set design.
Set design was sort of done for us. We really didn't have to do much except put up the signs for this culty thing. We found there was there was I call it a compound, not too far from me, and they had 3 abandoned houses. And the minute I saw them, I'm like, this is it. This is fucking it. Let's do it right here. We'll stitch them together. And, people won't know that it's 3 different houses. They'll just walk into one room and exit out the other, and they'll be in the next house, and it's fun.
Yep.
So the place was set for us.
Beautiful.
That's my honest answer. My variety Hollywood Reporter answer would be, well, we spent $20 million constructing a house, and it took about 2 months to build it, and we pieced it together from different houses.
But besides, the cult symbols on the wall, we have a couple of, cult symbols. Anything else aside from that? Was anything else added to the walls or decor at all?
Nothing at all.
Okay.
Well, except I will say, towards the end of the movie, there's a dungeon that the characters explore. That was a separate location, but it was a freestanding building. A friend of mine, an artist, had built in his backyard. It's just like a year-round haunted house that he just kind of leaves up as like like an art installation. So we shot in his house, and as an artist, he has kind of a wacky, unique sensibility. So all that crazy stuff on the walls was him. So we didn't really add anything to that either.
There was a little bit of an artsy feel towards the end there in that last act. So I was like, some of the black and white paintings on there, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. Those skulls and shit. That was cool.
That's him. Albert Reyes. Yeah, he's great.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Yeah, I liked in the house too, the sound design with the thumping. The thumping, every time I heard it, just got my heart going. And it was just the perfect sound to have everybody be freaking out too. I like that.
Yeah, we did do a lot of sound design on it. That's one thing we did spend time on post, because we didn't have to do a lot of visual effects. So I wanted to add, creaking of the house and, dogs barking in the background and just kind of weird sound effects and wind howling and all that stuff. So we did add a lot of that so that orally it would affect you a certain way. And hopefully that comes across. Yeah.
Good? What happened? What happened?
What is that?
What is that? What is that? What is that? Relax. I got you.
So is there any, aside from anything that you've mentioned already, is there a memorable moment on set for Jose or either of you guys that you can recall?
I have plenty, but I want Neeley to share one of them. I don't know if she wants to. It's my favorite Neeley moment, but I don't know if she would like to share it.
Are you talking about when I peed my pants?
Yeah.
Okay.
I immediately thought the same
Okay.
The movie somehow managed to scare me in the moment, despite me knowing exactly what was about to happen. I was, preparing for the scene. They told me this person is going to kind of pop out. It's in the trailer, this moment as well. So a guy's going to pop out in this specific area, so just run towards it. And I guess the anticipation of him popping out, it got me. And I screamed, I peed a little bit. Not crazy enough. I peed in my pants a little bit. I was and I knew he was coming too. So it was a fun time.
Oh, that is so funny.
When I'm meeting the actors, I want to get to know them a little bit. I kind of, I wanted to have them be the character as much as possible. So there was at one point where I'm like, okay, you're not you anymore. You're this character. But I talking to Neeley, I see her drinking. She's got this big ass cup. And I'm like, wow, that's a big cup. What's in there? And she goes, oh, it's just water. I like to stay hydrated. I'm like, all right, good luck with that.
I didn't know that.
And so when she told me I peed my pants, I'm like, I told you, hydration is okay and sometimes, but you can't go overboard. That's one of my favorite memories. Hey, there
you go.
Honestly, just the moments where it's a little bit less about the dialogue, and you're like, we got to be rushing around, we got to be doing this. There's a scene where Neeley, Anna, and I are in a room, we're trying to break out of it, and it was exciting for me because I wasn't holding the camera, so I was like, I gotta let loose. And so we were like, oh, we're trying to open the door, and this take didn't end up staying in because it didn't end in the right place. But it was just so funny to be really overtaken by what the characters are wanting and what they're trying to achieve, and fully on improv mode. And I was jumping around. We were trying to find something to break down the door, and at some point I was jumping on the furniture and crawling over stuff, and it was one of the funniest moments, just because that was that same scene where we were like, oh, we have to pick up something to move it, and then we were like, okay, wait, this doesn't work, or this would get stuck, and then we were doing the scene, and then somebody says something that catches me off guard, like their improv line, and it felt like a moment where I was like, this is so fun, because I was with people like Neeley and Anna, who were so talented, and it was so refreshing to like do these improv scenes with these other actresses who are giving so much and who are constantly surprising me. You know, I haven't been doing improv since college, and sometimes people are newer to it, but to like be on set with these actresses that like are just powerhouse performers and were just constantly surprised me with what they were saying. It was just like a really great time to have like all of these things happen in this tiny little room when we were locked out and we were in the room by ourselves with just our phone lights. And I just think about moments like that where we're like, oh, we want to pick this up, and then it's like too heavy or it's not moving, and we're kind of like, do we keep trying to pick this up, or do we like tell Jose we have to cut? Like,
just wait for the cut.
We're like, oh, wait. And then we're like, okay, never mind, let's get this one. So it was truly spontaneous and so memorable, because you're just like, oh, we need to do this, and then you're like, oh, we grabbed the wrong pipe, and then now this is happening, and now we have to do it over. And that was a great moment that I think about a lot.
I dare you to kiss Ava.
Yes.
Maybe a peck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Kiss, 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 kiss. All right. Kiss, 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 kiss. Come on, you're so close. Just do it.
Oh, looks like we have been joined by Brendan. Hello, hello. So good to meet you. Thank you for coming. Are you frozen? I think he's. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Hey.
How's everyone doing?
Good, man.
Good. How are
Ben,
you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Sorry, I'm late. My production meeting went a little longer than I thought.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We are just now on the question, what if you were on set? I'm not sure, but if you had one, what is a memorable moment that you had on set with Heretics?
That is a great question. I think it's going to be the moment Jose and I were at the location scout for this really cool haunted house that this guy built in his backyard. And we were just like walking through the whole thing. So that personally was my favorite moment. And then doing it again at night when it was 3 a.m, Jose, 4 a.m, and like going through it right before everyone started filming to see what it was like, you know, at 2 a.m, 3 a.m.
You should ask Brendan about sort of the impetus of the movie, because he was there way before I was.
Yeah.
Yes. So Brendan has joined us a little bit late, but yes, I do want to get some more backstory from you, because you are the producer behind Heretics. So tell us, about the inception of this movie.
Well, the studio was like, we want to do a found footage film. They haven't done one since 2018. The last one was called Hornet. It was kind of like an action sci-fi movie that they did, which is different, unique for many found footage movies. So this one, I was doing a film in Australia, and I got the phone call of, hey, we have a found footage film, which turned into, because the Australia show, they were kind of following us around and making a documentary about it. So the joke behind the scenes is we're going to give this to the director that we're following around and not tell him he has to do another film. So for about 3 days, there was like this, I might stay in Australia next 2 weeks, do this movie, go back to the States. And then they were like, no, we don't want to do it in Australia. We want to do it in Europe, because afterwards I went to England or to Dublin for a wedding. So it was like, all right, we'll do the film in Europe then. Like, you know,
Okay.
It could be kind of like something we film in Ireland or Scotland or, you know, England. And that conversation kept going for about a week. And then I kind of was like, all right, I need to know if I'm extending to Airbnb or if I'm going home. And they were like, okay, we're doing it in Los Angeles now. And this is where it was like, okay, cool. If we're doing it in LA, we should probably get Jose to do it. I was like, because he and I, the joke is every time we do a movie, it's last minute. Like, I think Jose, where it's like, there was a little more time-ish, and it was actually like pretty planned out-ish.
Ish?
The studio will give you the job like a week before shooting, but for some reason, I usually get brought on before, so I'll at least start prepping it. But the last two times before, no, the last time before, that was the second one we did together. So it was the first time we worked together, the studio was like, we're going to rush this film before Christmas. Like, I had just landed like at LAX from being in Europe for like a month and a half. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, there's a monster movie. We have to do it. We have to start shooting in a week and a half. Jose's directing. Here's the script. We need a budget by like tomorrow morning. Like, go. So that was the first time we worked together. And we had to do it immediately. And the show was crazy, but honestly, I think it's one of the best films that the studio's done in a while.
What was that one called? The one that you two worked together?
Monster Mash.
Okay, yes. I still need to watch that one. Monster Mash.
So,
awesome. Okay.
That one's a really fun one. And Jose was able to sneak in some pretty cool stuff.
I got away with some stuff, which is nice. But that movie almost broke me, honestly. Yeah, it was hard. It was a hard movie to make.
It was hard,
but I couldn't say no.
Yeah, then we did Heretics, and Heretics was like, honestly, super chill. It was like, 4-day shoot. There wasn't, so normally, I don't know if you guys mentioned this before in the interview, but when you do a found footage film, sometimes you don't use an actual script. You use like a beat sheet. So it'll be like, it could be 1 page, it could be 20 pages of just kind of like, here's what happens. You give it to the actors and you say, have fun. And then, everyone kind of improvs everything. And we were so lucky with, our cast is everyone vibed together really, really well. But also everyone was really good at improv. I've done a few other found footage films.
I was going to ask. Okay.
Yes, I've done a few others. And I think this one, our cast, I'm not going to say the other films that I've worked on. Y'all can go look them up. I'm not going to which one I'm shading.
We could do our own research.
We can do research. But I think that you guys, cast-wise, you actually know what you were doing when it came to improv, and the vibes with you all were natural and they felt real, and you guys were actually talented. And you were able to, pull it off. And I know you had very little time between casting and shooting and everything, but you guys did a really good job with it.
So besides Neeley pissing her pants on set, was there another memorable moment for you, Jose, that you wanted to talk about?
Oh man, there was one location we were shooting in, and it was actually, I don't know if they'll remember, it was Teryn, Neeley, and I think Anna as well. Yes, it was Anna, because they were hiding. There was one location where, we haven't used, and actually Brendan was in that shot, so this is kind of perfect. Brendan played one of our cult members, so there you go. He's also an actor in the film. We were in this one building we hadn't used yet. I go, let's go in there. We haven't used that yet. This will be a place where the characters are hiding or whatever. And the minute you step in, there was this horrendous odor, almost like this, poison gas smell.
No. Okay.
And so I told the actors, okay, I'll wait outside. You guys film this. No, we set it up. I said, look, we'll shoot it real quick. Let's just, because we haven't shot in here, let's do it real quick. We did one thing where they're hiding, and then a couple guys kind of walking around with a flashlight trying to find them. And then I said, okay, let's get the fuck out. And then I don't know what it was necessarily, but I think we suspect it was a skunk. A skunk had gotten loose and lived there a little bit and left his essence. That was a memorable time.
Yeah. I can still smell smells when I think about them hard enough, so I can imagine.
And it was a really great shot. I love that shot. It's a nice little moment that we suffered and earned, I think.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, there was a bat attack at one point.
What? Oh no!
Which
that
sent
poor bat.
everybody.
You scared him.
No, we scared him. He's fine. He flew out and he found another place to hang out. But my entire cast was like, "Oh my god!" They jumped to the ground and then it left. But yeah, those two, I'd say skunk and bat were my two memorable.
So Neeley, you are essentially our leading lady in this movie. And so would you like to share your approach to developing the character and, if any at all, what kind of personal touches you added to this character?
I think because, so I actually got a text about production like a day before. So I didn't have too much time with the character, but I think a lot of her, it was like half me and then half of like this Ava character who like I tried to embody in some ways. I think some of I don't know, she was a little sassier than I think she was written, which was probably due to some of Neeley coming out.
Written, yeah.
Yeah, written. The character description wasn't necessarily as sassy as I think she came out, but yeah, I think her main quality was that she really just believed in her morals and believed in good and God. And so I think that's what sort of helped her throughout the entire night to, outlast whatever. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Totally.
She's being very careful, but she was great.
Not sharing too many personal details. That's totally fine. I'm okay with that. Totally cool.
and Neeley, talk a little bit about this, because I know you have a pretty extensive improv background too. I mean, you brought your acting teacher to the premiere, so share with that a little bit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was actually in like a comedy improv troupe for a year. We'd have a show every month. And every week in my acting class, I do it twice a week. Actually, I have improv. Most of them are usually comedic, but I definitely think it helped me not be too nervous about what was going on. And, I'm pretty good at coming up with stuff quickly just through that practice. So I think it definitely helped me out on set.
Totally, definitely. And how about you, Teryn? How did you prepare for your role? And did you find any aspects of your character particularly challenging or rewarding to portray?
Yeah, I think I may have been on the end of the actors who had, I think maybe around 2 days before, and then when I come to set and find out that other people, found out the day before, I was like, oh my God, because that first night when I had heard that I booked it, I got the information as soon as I could, and I'm like a very big, bookwork type kind of guy. I'm working on a project right now, I write, a dozen or so pages just about them to try to, solidify them in mind. So to have this character have only so much details, I tried to lean into how I could imagine they would be. And I felt really confident about it and excited. He's this sensitive guy. I found a really clear path to that. And then to show up on set this is great news, but to show up on set and then to like break into pairs and a lot of new things coming up, I was like, oh my God, this is great. This is so cool. I need to write this down. But there was no time to write it down. And thankfully things were chronological, like I was saying earlier. So for the most part, we were progressing through the story, and I was able to let every other thing inform how I would behave and how I would interact with characters moving forward. And so like I said earlier, like a play was really thrilling. And, as the story gets towards the end, a different side of my character sort of comes out, and can't say too much right about that, but it's exciting because being in that space, being shooting on location really gave a lot to all of us. And to have these situations where, there wasn't a camera, it was just us holding it, and then something would come in and we would respond. It made it very primal and it felt very natural in trying to behave in a character to do their best to survive. And so to explore that side of them later in the film when he's not holding the camera as much was really exciting and fun. And I tend to, play more sensitive and kind-hearted characters. So to be pushed to those kind of limits is like, it's what acting's all about. And that's why horror is so, I think, underrated for actors, because you get to experience so much emotions as humans, and just to have people I'm working with that were really great. It made it all easy. It really was. It was fun. It was tiring. It was late nights, but the dynamic of my castmates and our director supporting us made it all so fun and easy, and made it all, we just all were on the same page when something was or wasn't working. And that was to this day, I'm so grateful for that kind of environment.
Yeah, I love that. That sounds awesome.
I think also, I just thought of something too that happened earlier on. Because I feel like with Ava, some of her ideas and beliefs sort of separate from her peers in some ways. Like, she doesn't drink, she's drinking water the whole time. And my wardrobe was actually the last to get approved. So they started filming without me. And so I was kind of standing outside of the group watching them, like, get to make fun like party videos, and they were like drinking and laughing and dancing. And I feel like that sort of put me in a certain mood going in, where I was like a little bit outcasted, but I still was close with everyone from our conversations previously. So that was an interesting dynamic that happened too.
Yeah, that's awesome. That kind of worked out for your benefit, because I noticed you the peripheral being all sad, sitting on the porch.
Yeah, I was pouting.
I think that worked. I think that worked for you.
Nice coincidence. Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. So I actually already asked Jose this, Brendan, but if anything at all, is there any kind of message or type of experience you want the audience to walk away from with this movie?
I would say, when I say you can make a movie with no money, literally no money, you can do that. You can pull
I hear that.
a lot with no money and just people who care, because we were somehow able to do that, and I would 100% do it again. I would want to do it with this team though, because they were all pretty chill and everyone was very talented and very hardworking.
And I will piggyback off of that. I would definitely do it again. And I talked with that. We joked on set that we would do kind of like an American Horror Story, where I would just bring the same cast, but we would just do a different story in a different universe. Even though Heretics kind of has a cliffhanger ending, which may be explored in a sequel, but I can't recast. So I think whatever happens in Heretics probably just stays there and unexplained. And I think, and there was a version where we explain everything, but for me, it's more one of those, I would rather have creepy questions than stupid answers. There
you go.
When you watch a movie and like, okay, so this is what this is all about, and you're like, oh my god, that's so fucking dumb. You don't want that. You want that to go, what the fuck just happened, dude? That was crazy.
True.
And then it's a found footage movie. You're not gonna get an explanation. It just happened. Done. There's no why would there be exposition?
Shit.
That's the direction we went with this one. It's very much a mystery as to what happened, and maybe we'll explore it down the line, but it would not be my call. But yes, I would definitely do another found footage movie with this cast again. It'd be great. I don't know how much you want to share, Brendan, about the our executive producers and their input, but he usually takes the brunt of the sort of the big producers that are off stage, sending in angry texts every once in a while.
Sure.
I don't know how much you want to share. Luckily, I think we were left alone for the most part.
Yeah, they liked it. I remember I think the best note that we got was like day 2. And they were just like, they're like, wait, are you filming on iPhone? This doesn't look like iPhone. Did you rent a camera? And like, because the last time they did this was 2018 and it was on GoPros, and we were just like, we're going to film on iPhone. So we, they were like, wait, this looks like it's done on like an actual like red camera. And we were like, nope, it's iPhone. You can do a whole movie on iPhone. So, and we didn't even go to the extreme of how good you can make iPhones look, because we wanted it to still have iPhone feel. So I think that was probably the coolest note that we got. But yeah, this one was it was a pretty easy movie, to be honest. So
yeah, it's nice to be left alone instead of micromanaged, which can happen sometimes. But it's nice when they trust you to have fun, and that made the process more invigorating. Beyond just the challenge of making a movie, from scratch, basically.
I think the other cool part,
yeah.
Oh, there's one
go
more
ahead.
I remembered. Sorry. Is at the time of filming, Eric Roberts was doing Dancing with the Stars. And we had to work with the Dancing with the Stars schedule to get him in the movie, which that was kind of fun. So,
Hell
but
yeah,
he did.
awesome.
He came from rehearsal. I remember he came from rehearsal to set. We shot him out in probably 5 or 6 hours. And he was really good about doing all the improv stuff. He like got it down to a system. We did our thing, and that was, I think, the fastest I've ever shot out an actor before. So good job, Jose.
Yeah, he was great. Now, I mean, it wasn't honestly, it wasn't my idea to have a name actor in a found footage movie, because it sort of breaks the reality a bit. but it's
Sure.
a producer thing that they wanted to have. I'm like, all right. And I've never worked with Eric before, and I'm a fan, so it was kind of like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll put him in there. And he was awesome. I mean, it was so great to work with him. Obviously, he was tired from Dancing with the Stars, so the fact that he would go and make another thing, I mean, I was so appreciative that he would give us the time, and he was great. And I definitely would work with him again. I loved him.
Daddy, please, you have to come help us. We're in trouble.
What's going on? What's going on?
We broke into the Simmons house. It was really stupid, but now people are trying to kill us.
Kill you? Where are you, baby? At the Simmons house?
We're at the Simmons house.
Please
We have to go.
I'm on the
Please
way.
come.
I'm on the way. Hello?
You know, again, I've said it 1,000 times already, but this was my favorite filmmaking experience, actually, since my first movie. My first movie I made with friends, and it was, you know, basically not really found footage, but it was shot on video, and you know, it was such a fun experience. No bad days, and
Awesome.
This felt like going back to my roots in a way. Just no bad days. I had such a blast, and I didn't think the movie would mean so much to me as it did, because usually I create the movie and I have the characters in my head for a year, and I live with them and they talk to me and things. But here, part of me almost feels like I was like sort of like an audience member from the beginning, and I'm only an audience member. Like I almost have no authorial connection to this, because it was the actors talking. Yes, they had direction. They knew where to go and what to say and things like that. But it's more their movie than mine, and so it's almost like when I watch it, I'm just like watching something like someone else made, and I've never had that experience. It was really weird. And that's why
really
I've seen this
cool.
thing like 20 times, and I normally don't watch my movies that often. But I just love that first half when they're hanging out. I love it. It makes me laugh, and every time I watch it, I discover a new line that somebody says that I didn't pick up before, and it's great. It's great.
Yeah,
I definitely watched it a couple of times. Yeah, keep going. Please.
I just wanted to say, connecting off of that, I mean, goodness, I just wanted to take the moment to like thank Jose for trusting us so much. I mean, he speaks so highly of us, and it's so humbling to hear. But like, he really gave us the room to play, and it was just like a life-changing sort of dynamic to have with the director, where I don't know if I can be replicated again unless it's in this exact type of like way that the film worked. But you know, just to have a moment where I had an idea and I got to throw it out to him, and he was like, okay, yeah, and then we like kind of figured out where we would go, and to do the moment, and to be like, okay, I know I can do that better, and for him to just give me the space to give it one more time, and it to be my favorite moment personally in the film for me. So to have that trust is really sacred. So again, I just feel so lucky, and I'm really thankful that Jose got to direct all of us, because I know we all feel the same way.
Honor.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, this has been an awesome discussion on the latest film from Jose Prendes. Y'all, Stardust, please check this out. Again, you can find it on Apple TV, Fandango at Home, Google Play, and YouTube. And you will find the socials for everybody on screen down in the description. So go ahead and check them out. Follow them, subscribe to them, watch this movie. You are going to have a good time with it. Watch it with a group of friends. It'll be even that much more fun. And until next time, Stardust, peace.